Hey guys, lepedaler back with another video. Today I'll be giving you guys a cycling training tip on how to prevent saddle sores and how to actually treat them if you do develop them. So I find this video very important that I had to make it because I've experienced my fair share of some pretty bad saddle sores, and the only solution I found is the one that I will be sharing. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So without getting too much scientific or in detail about what a saddle sore is, a lot of the time it can just be soreness or a bump, and sometimes it can actually have pus in it. So it can be quite disgusting and very uncomfortable to say the least, and it develops around, I would say, the inner thigh region where your body actually comes into contact with the saddle. So if we were to use a chamois from cycling short, it'd roughly be on the edges. That's usually where I get it from. That's where usually everyone gets it from, because these are the parts that are chafing against the saddle. So the only way that I personally deal with it is with my trusty chamois butter or chamois butter, depending on how you pronounce it, but this is chamois butter. I find it really does the trick. So basically what it does, it lubricates the regions of your inner thigh to ensure that you don't have any chafing going on. So some people actually apply the chamois butter directly on their short chamois, on the sides, wherever they get the chafing, and they rub it in, and then they put the short on and then go riding. So when they do make contact with the saddle, you have that little insulation of lubricant that kind of protects the chafing from going on. I personally apply it directly on the spots, and because I do put a lot of hours on the saddle, it's one of those things that you're bound to get, in my opinion. But this is the best way to treat it, because before I was using chamois butter, there would be times where the saddle sore would be so uncomfortable that I'd be like counting down every second of how much longer I had in terms of training. But as soon as I got this, even if I do get a saddle sore, I can just apply it on the spot and I can still get my training done. And usually, it makes the ride very enjoyable still, because, it's not all that pain, because when you have a saddle sore and you just have that chafing, it's literally friction on friction, where this, you have that nice insulation that protects the saddle sore from any chafing. So I find this a game changer, especially if you start doing a lot of riding in general. Like, I'm riding around 7 days a week on average for the past 3 months. So it's really important that I have this to prevent any uncomfort or discomfort. So I think chamois butter is a game changer. So in terms of how long the chamois butter actually lasts, this tube is 235 milliliters, and it's lasted me about 3 months so far, and it's only halfway used. So I would say it's really cost efficient, especially if it gets me on the bike longer without any discomfort. So that's basically how I would suggest treating saddle sore. Is the only way is if you have some type of chamois butter. It doesn't have to be necessarily this brand, but any chamois cream that prevents any chafing from going on to where the saddle sore is. So that's how you kind of treat the saddle sore. But in terms of preventing the saddle sore, I would still use a chamois cream, because if you can reduce the chafing, you won't develop saddle sore in the first place. And on top of that, I would say the best easy tool that requires no equipment whatsoever is just changing your position out and getting out of the saddle. So if you do a lot of riding, let's say it's a 2-hour ride, and majority of the ride you're just sitting in your saddle, chafing is bound to happen. But if every, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes you get up and you actually shift your body around, your body won't be in the same place where the chafing has been going on. So I find that for me, usually all the chafing that I've really experienced where I got really bad saddle sores is usually indoor, because indoor riding can be quite static, especially if you're not forcing yourself to get out of the saddle. Whereas on the road, it's more dynamic, so you're getting out of the saddle, you're getting in the saddle. So I usually don't get a lot of saddle sores when I'm riding outside during the season, but as soon as indoor training comes along, I do get a lot of saddle sores just because it's a lot more fixed. So I would say the best advice to prevent getting a saddle sore in the first place is just making sure that you change your position on the bike, get out of your saddle, move around, so you can ensure that chafing doesn't happen continuously. If you guys did like this little piece of advice, I'd please ask you guys to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. I've been seeing a lot of growth recently, and I really do appreciate it, and it just helps the channel grow overall. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. But other than that, that's about it for this video, and until the next one, keep on pedaling.